Do you want to know how I know that this video will save you years? Because it took me years to learn this lesson. I'm Chris from Culture Code, and I've been making melodic bass similar to Illenium and Seven Lions for over 10 years now, with over 300 million streams, currently doing about 2 million per month. And this is the one thing that I wish I knew earlier. And it's not mixing, not layering, it's sound selection. I'm going to show you a drop that honestly sounds like ass. Then we're going to rework it from scratch, but we're going to keep all the exact same formula, the same progression, the same layers, the same structure, but we're just going to change the sounds, and you will never produce the same way again after this video. So here's the drop. So yeah, like I said, it sounds like ass, but if we look, I mean, we've got everything here that we need. We've got a kick, we've got multiple snares, we've got crashes, rides, sub, multiple mid bass, multiple chords, multiple leads, multiple atmospheres, white noise. We've got everything required to make a good drop. So then why does it not sound good? And it's because the sounds just aren't. Some of them I actually chose really good sounds for, just to prove this point. Like if we look at the drums here, I made a point of choosing cashmere for the kick, a cashmere snare, and a wake Illenium type snare, and a cymatic snare. So these are all really good sources to find sounds from. So why do these not sound great? Well, let's take a listen to the kick first. So that kick is just, for this genre, it's just too weak. Like it says here it's a chest type kick, which is probably more suitable for something like hip hop or trap. And the snare, yeah, if we solo these one by one, again, it's not holding enough weight. Let's take a look at the second layer. It's actually a nice snare. It just doesn't suit everything else that it's with. And the last one, again, maybe more suitable for trap or future bass. But the point is you want to choose sounds that are suitable for the genre that you're in. Let's take a look at this crash and the ride. Yeah, I mean, it's cashmere again. So we know we're getting quality samples, but in my opinion, what I'm hearing from this one is it's far too tinny. It's too high end. And the ride. Nothing wrong with the ride really, except for the fact it's just going to stand out like a sore thumb. Let's start by changing the drums. So the first thing I want to mention is the fact that you, ideally, if your ears aren't trained yet to the point where you can tell what's going to be a good sample or not, the next thing I recommend is that you use sample packs that are purposely made for the genre that you're in. For instance, cashmere is definitely more house or more trap, more hip-hoppy. So I wouldn't use cashmere really for a kick. I guarantee there's some kicks that would work, don't get me wrong, but you would need a more experienced ear for that. So if you want to take the safer route, you want to go and find something like blank, for example. Like if we go to kick, you can't really go wrong with a blank kick. I mean, that one there is straight from his Illenium remix. So if we use that as an example, throw that in. In fact, we're going to duplicate all this so that we don't lose it. All right, so let's swap out this kick. Let's put the pre kick in. Let's see how much of a difference just that's made. And I'm going to press D on my keyboard, which is, if we look here, it's going to swap between this drop and this drop. Boom. Okay, so here's the new kick. Old kick. It's just so buried, like it's not going to stand out, because this new kick has this part here, which is very important. This is called the transient. So the transient is like the clicky part of the sound, if we listen. So that clicky part of the sound is what helps it cut through the mix. And then this part after is like the low end, it's the bass. And that's what gives us like the power, the weight behind the kick. So ideally you want to layer kicks that have both of these. But when you're dealing with sample packs by artists like Blank or, you know, any that I offer out, they're 9 times out of 10 already layered. So you don't need to then go ahead and overlay or over produce with plugins. Like for example, this is bounced straight out of Blank's remix. So he's already done all the processing, so we don't need to do anything. So that's fine. We just need to get a good volume in the mix, but we'll do that in a sec. Now, the next thing we want to look at is the snare. So let's turn these two off for now. All right, so that snare here, this cashmere one, doesn't really hold any weight. So if we go to snares, And I'm just going to go through a few and I'll tell you which ones that catch my ear for holding weight. Okay, so out of those, this dub one, again, by a melodic bass producer, AU5, is the one that stands out to me. If we drag that in. Now, let's just go to drums a sec. Let's turn these off. Let's put okay, so that's the equivalent. So we got, this is the old kick and snare. New. And in the track already, that's going to make a huge difference. Let's turn up that snare a little bit. So here is drop 1, the old drums. Drop 2. I'm really hoping that you can hear that difference already, because that's an insane amount of difference so far. And we've only changed 2 things. So let's keep going. So now we want to layer up the snare. The snare's got some weight, but we can increase that by grabbing an EQ and increasing this fundamental. So it cuts through even more. When you're layering, you really want to be very specific about the part that you want from that layer. For this one, I wanted the low end, that punch. So for the next snare, let's go back again. We're looking for something that's maybe got a bit more mid-range, more high-end. I mean, that one could be sweet. We've already got an awake one here. What does that sound like? No, I don't really like it. It's too hollow sounding, so let's change it for this one. I mean, that sounds great. The only thing that's off with that one is that the reverb ends too soon, so we can just put a reverb specifically on that one. There we go. And then we can get one more snare that's way more like high-endy transient. That sounds like it could be cool. Yep. And again, we can drag an EQ just on that one. We can cut out the bits we don't want from it and increase the bits we do. So let's just compare. All right, here's all the kicks and snares from drop 1, drop 2. And in the track. And then drop 1. So I can hear that this snare is a little bit too loud, so I'm going to drop it down. And there's something standing out too much. It might be this middle one. Yep, so I'm just going to drop that down by about 4. And up it all by about 1. That's great. Okay, so now we move on to the crash. So like I said before, this one to me is a bit tinny. So I'm just going to come in here, type crash. That's nice. I do like these Styx Ashes ones though. So the Styx Ashes pack is based on Illenium's Ashes album. And that there is a great crash. So if we just versus now, I don't know if you can hear the artifacts there. You can hear like the stretching. In Ableton, just turn that warp off. And what we want is it on each kick, like so. Boom. Let's mix that in. Like that. And then the ride. The type ride in here. I want something that's a little bit more hidden. Maybe like that. Again, make sure it's not warped. And this is going to be every quarter like that. Yeah, you can hear the difference. So that ride's a little bit too low. Sweet. Right, those drums versus the old drums. And in the mix versus the old mix. Perfect. All right, then we move on to the drop. So what we got for the drop? So this is something I see quite a lot with newer producers, is that they will use sounds, and I've used these straight from Serum's new, Serum 2. I've gone for bass, and I've gone sub, and there's nothing particularly wrong with this, except like, if we look at an EQ, look how full this is. Where your sub region is around here. Now the problem is this has got so many, like, it's distorted and it's got like different oscillators on there and stuff. So now it's lost its power in the sub because of those things. So ideally we want to, we'll go Serum 2 again. Oh my God. How do I initialize? And then literally just turn that off, turn that on. We'll go down an octave. Go down 2 octaves. Now, if we look here, it's impossible to lose the power because we've only got one frequency. Now, you don't hear it as much, so we have to find a middle ground, and I like to use a saturator for that. So if I put this on, we'll keep it on analog, that's fine. But the more I drive this, watch, you'll start seeing these harmonics appear again. And all of a sudden, we can hear it very well, but we've lost the power. So we want to find a sweet spot. Just take it back, maybe. There we go. That's great. Listen, on and off. There's off. On. Let's mix that with our drums. I'm just going to throw a God particle on the master, just so we've got a nice overall mastered volume. Whoa, let's turn the limiter down. Maybe that. Cool. So I banged on a lot on the drums at the start because, in my opinion, it's one of the most overlooked things. And I used to do this myself. I'd overlook the drums. I'd do all this other shit like the stack and the melodic side. And then my drops would just be really weak because I'd fit the drums in afterwards as like an afterthought. And you can clearly see how much a difference just the drums made without even changing any of the drop stack. So the drums are probably the most important to get right. Without punchy drums, the drop will just feel flat regardless. All right, so there's sub and kick. Mid bass. What did we have for mid bass? We had more respaces. So the problem with a respace is it's not going to be very hard, and if you don't have the right kind of respace, it can really muddy everything up, like you hear them right now. So we can absolutely use a respace. I prefer to make these myself by just, there you go. And then we can literally just put an EQ on there. remove that sub and just remove some high end. Now it fits nicely with the sub. Let's just turn off everything else. We're going to bring these all in one by one. So we're going to mix from the ground up. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Mid bass 2. Too much. It's just too crazy. So what we can do is go again for something like Brighter Days, who make Brighter Days is made by Lonely Studios. Lonely Studios makes some great packs for melodic bass. So 100% recommend them for their samples and for their presets. So I really love this bass 25. It's just a great sound. I'm going to drop a plus 12 on there because it's clearly too low. I'm not feeling this high note there. What's that? That's an E. Can this go lower? Yeah, that's how we're gonna write this one. Now you can see here, like I'm changing they don't have to be the same. As long as they're the same note, you can change the octaves to suit the sound. Okay, I like this one to move a little bit more, so I'm gonna drag LFO 2 onto this guy. And I'm gonna bring this down. And I'm going to change the rate to be like 2 bars. Again, we can add something like a saturator just to beef this up a little bit. Medium curve. And then an EQ. Okay, now the chords. Let's see where we're at so far. So if we just had, let's say chords were off and all this shit was off, and then on the drop one we had the exact same stuff on. Where are we currently sitting? Chords, bam, 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 bam. All right, so here's old drop. New drop. Sweet, a lot better. Okay, chords, what we got? It's not even a bad start, but I think it's just the initial patch. Now we could use something like, okay, this one is for the members. So if you're an SHA member, you get access to this, which is the CC Serum pack. That's called CC. But I mean, you can see what's going on here anyway. I'll quickly show you the effects. If you want to screenshot all this shit. There we go. Just going to EQ that. Now I'm going to take away some top end to about 12k. Now I want something crazy for this one. I want it to be higher end. So let's go. There's an AU5 Super Saw tutorial out on the internet. So you can go and copy how he did this. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to plus 12 it. And then we're going to boost the shit out of it. What did I have for chords here? Put that on. Let's go to the other drop. Cool. Leads. Hold on, did I EQ that? I did not. $12K. leads, what we got? There we got a nice RP lead. Let's go again for something like, let's have a look in the Brighter Days pack. I really like square kind of arps. Some of these portamento in. Let's chop that there, chop that one there. Don't like that release. Let's see if there's anything else. What? Bruv. Alright, clearly not getting anywhere. I'm gonna go splice, presets, and leads. Fuck. Leads. That is brilliant. Alright, so I'm gonna have to clearly start splice again. Alright, here we go. Presets, leads. Well, I asked for a square lead. Let's see what it sounds like with the chords. I actually really like it. Alright, it's clearly got too much low end in, but that's what EQ's for. What should this be? Did I mess that up? No. Alright, we're going to just pick a different one from Splice. So now I've got a square lead. Square lead is like my foundational layer, right? So what I want now is I want something that's got more high end, so that this lead really like fills out the space, but the square lead is the one that you're most likely going to hear. Maybe that, and bear in mind guys, I'm doing this with just 2 leads. I'm just trying to show you here the difference in sound selection. If this was a real built-out drop, this might have 6 leads, but I just want to show you the difference we can make by just changing sounds. Maybe that one. I wonder what that sounds like an octave up. That's the one. there a way to make it less plucky? Sweet. And then I'm just going to give it a little bit of imaging with this free plugin, Isotope Ozone Imager 2, sorry. And we just boost this width. All right, let's compare. Old drop. And we've still got a few more to go. All right, atmospheres. Let's see what we had. It doesn't give me the epic. Doesn't give me the epicness that I'm looking for when it comes to atmospheres. So we're gonna swap that one out. What key are we in? We are in. So this is in F sharp major. F sharp, so we're in E major. Okay, so we're going to look for some E major stuff. Let's have a look. So you know who's really good for atmospheres, for drops? Narco. So highly recommend you guys go grab his sample pack. Yeah, let's look. E. I mean, just look at the sausage waveform of that. Now the key with atmospheres and drops, some atmospheres throughout tracks in general, especially when you're in like if you're at the start of your track and there's not too much going on, then you haven't got much conflict. But as soon as you start bringing in chord progressions and bass and stuff like that, you don't want to keep too much low end in. Because you can see here, there's clearly notes being played, right? It's probably an E. And there's probably an E there as well. In the track, that just sounds like it's a bass. So when if this drops on an E, which I'm pretty sure, does it? No, it drops in C sharp. So it's going to sound off from the beginning anyway, because you're going to have a C sharp and then an E playing. When it goes to the E, eventually on the third chord, it'll probably sound fine. If we just do that. There you go. Sounds weird there. Sounds right there. There. So we don't want that clashing with anything. So what we can do is just take this. Now you can hear it fits with everything. Don't need to roll off any of the top because it's already been done for us. Thank you, Narco. I hope you guys can hear how much difference that's making, because that's huge. That might still work. I actually really like that. We're just going to EQ it. It don't go with that one though. All right, back to the drawing board. Let's find a different atmosphere for that bit. Let's go. Yeah, you never know. What if we did this? My God. All right. Wow. Okay. And the last thing to do is white noise. And there is a difference between good white noise and not so good white noise. Stupid as that sounds. So this is just pure Serum, bright white. Now it should be fine. Except if you go to silent. And then you initialize the patch. Bum bum bum. Clear init. Alright, you want to turn off, well, you just want to change that to a noise. Turn off retrig and voices too. So now we have wide white noise. And the only thing you need to do then is come in here. Oh. And you just want to mix it in with your chords and stuff. Okay, right, now it's all back in. Let's hear drop 1 again. And drop 2. That's insane. I didn't actually expect it to turn out that good by keeping the exact same amount of layers. And that just proves as well that you don't need to, this sounds like a full drop. If you had like some shit from your build up still in here as well, carrying on over, maybe some form of vocal that you've got in there in the form of like a chop or in the form of just some background texture, this already sounds pretty full. And we've just got pretty much 2 chords, 2 basses, 2 chords, 2 leads, 2 atmospheres. All we did was choose better sounds. That was it. So yeah, I mean, guys, I teach stuff like this all day long in my SHA Academy. It's, like I said, it's the thing I bang on about the most. So there's a lot more in-depth talk about how to choose right sounds, where to get them from, etc., etc. So if you want to become a member, it would mean the world to me to have your support, and I will do my best to make sure that you improve the best and the fastest that you can. Also, if any of you are into like the feedback thing, it's a great way to level up your music faster by having someone like myself or Andrew, who does the feedback sessions with me every week, listen to your track when you submit it. We'll give you detailed pointers on, fix this, do this, change this, don't have this going for so long, so that you can quickly improve without, spending years and years of trying to just learn it yourself, which I did. And don't get me wrong, it works. It just would have been a lot quicker if I had someone that was kind of doing what I wanted to do, and I could just send them my music and they could tell me to change this. I would have just learned a lot quicker. So that's available in the SHA as well. So if you join, I'll see you in there. Come say hello. And if not, I'll see you on the next video.